Alright, now we've looked at mutual inductance, and we've seen that when you've got one coil and you've got another coil, then the first coil causes a flux change which gives you a voltage through the second coil. Then we come to this whole idea of transformers, and basically a transformer is exactly what we've got here. And so we can actually ask ourselves questions like, well, what's the voltage you're going to get out of that one if you put a voltage into this one? Vs and Vp. So how are we going to figure out Vs and Vp? Well, we could just use our Faraday's law. And so Vs is the one that's got the mutual inductance, and we can divide that by the voltage that's in the primary, and that's just L didt. So the voltage in the secondary depends on the current in the primary here. So if we put a current in the primary here, right, then we get a voltage there, that's this one here, and the mutual inductance between the two will give you the voltage in the secondary. So if we do this calculation here, which I'm not going to do, we actually come down to the fact that the whole thing is determined by number of turns in secondary over number of turns in primary, which is really cool. That means if I've got 100 turns in my secondary and 50 turns in my primary, then the voltage in the secondary is going to be twice as much. If I had it the other way around, 50 turns in my secondary and 100 turns in my primary, then the voltage is half as much. So if you want to go from 240 volts to 10 volts in your secondary, then you need 24 times less turns in your secondary. Alright, it's that easy. Now, the thing is, there's no free lunches here. What I mean by that is, from a power point of view, you're never going to get more than 100%. So what is power? Power is just volts times amps. So the volts in the secondary times the amps in the secondary over the volts in the primary times the current in the primary must always be, as a percentage, less than 1. Right? So if it was like 0.9, that's a 90% efficiency. Right? If you get that much. So if you do get a bigger voltage in your secondary, you've got to have a much less current than was in the primary for this to work out. Alright, so that's transformers. That was pretty easy, wasn't it?